Are you in a place where you really, really want to scale the revenue and the income that your business is making or maybe not making? I polled over 3,000 of my students recently, and some of the most common phrases that you guys mentioned to me as your current pain point was not making consistent income, unreliable income, not being able to find clients, where to make money online, having an offer that isn't selling. All of those pieces were really, really something that was heavy on your heart. So today's video, I'm going to shoot you really straight. If I wanted to become a six-figure business owner in the next 12 to 24 months, here are the only 3 things that I would do to make that a reality. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Are you ready to grow your online business, make consistent income, start a successful podcast? Welcome to Online Business for Christian Women with Stephanie Gass. It's time to grow, girl. So I want to talk to you about the fastest way to 6 figures. I think what has worked in the past no longer works for the present and potentially could shift for the future. This is something that we know to be true, is that the online climate is consistently changing and evolving and growing, and we have to stay on top of the times. So what used to work, making reels and making a lot of short form content on social media platforms, used to work to grow leads, to go viral. And those viral videos in turn really did capture some of those leads into email marketing and did create a little bit of conversion. I know because I played that game for many, many years. Now, it was to the detriment of my sanity. It was to the detriment of me being available for my family. And it was also to the detriment of my own personal mental health. I was full of anxiety. I was constantly working. I felt a complete and utter phone addiction taking over my life. Like, it was not pretty. But what I love is that the climate really started shifting around 2020-ish. The climate really shifted then, and we saw this massive 180 towards a mistrust of content on social. And so I saw this huge, catapult in my revenue coming from my podcast because it was long form, because it was so trust generating, because it was so educational and value rich, and also because it created so much authenticity and rapport with the people who were listening. And I was able to grow a 6-figure business in a matter of 18 months. 24 months in, I had a multi-6-figure business. 3-4 years later, it was $500,000. And today we have a multi-7-figure company from the podcast. And so I really asked myself before I sat down to record this for you, in today's climate, what would I do if I wanted to create a 6-figure company as fast as I possibly could? What would be my game plan? And I came up with just 3 things, 3 things that you need to do, and you need to do them in this order. And it's going to be actually, I think, more simple than you think. It doesn't make it easy. It means you're going to have to get up and do the hard things. You're going to have to get clear. You're going to have to do some homework. You're going to have to trust me because nothing is overnight. I did say 12 to 24 months here, but I do believe with all of my heart that if you really follow this really simple roadmap I'm about to share with you right now, these 3 steps, you can potentially be where I was when I figured out this secret sauce to growing a super profitable business. Now, you're going to hear a lot of excuses come up in your head. Well, that's not going to work, or I already tried that, or I don't want to do that. You've got to get rid of all those limiting beliefs about what could be and just get to work. Because even if this particular roadmap that I lay out for you right now isn't for you, I believe that if you just take some steps forward in faith, God will refine that. Your end result may not look like my end result that I map out for you right now, but I do think that this is such a beautiful, simplified, step-by-step action plan for you that it's going to get you moving in the right direction, and you're going to have that momentum. So be careful as I lay these steps out for you that you are not minimizing them or deciding that they're not for you before you ever test or try them. I remember doing that and ended up proving myself wrong. And this ended up being the absolute best way for me to ultimately have today a passive, almost 90% passive revenue business with a huge company behind it. And it's super God honoring the work that I do. And it still allows me to have some financial freedom for my family and for giving and for tithing and for all the things that God is going to use the future revenue of this company for to fund his kingdom. So yes and amen. Yeah. Okay. So let's get into it. The very first thing that I would do to really hone in on that 6-figure goal is I would have a long form method locked in. What are you going to pick? There are only 3 options, and I only think 2 of them are viable. So your long form options are audio, which would be podcasting. 2 would be video, which would be YouTube. And the 3rd would be blogging. I would personally throw blogging out because we've done blogging for the past 5-6 years, and it's really not that successful, if I'm being honest. We continue to do it because it's a great learning tool for my internship. My interns learn to blog, and it does drive some traffic back to our website, but ultimately at the end of the day, I do not believe that it is highly revenue driving. And so it's really not going to be worth your time unless you have a team of people that are going to be repurposing those blogs for you. Here's the other kicker is we have AI now. And so this whole blogging category, I believe, is on the brink of a massive recalibration. And I just probably wouldn't put my eggs in that basket. That is just my opinion. You are 1000% able to just throw that out if you disagree with me, or if you're like, blogging has created all this money and revenue for me, like, go girl, go, woo. Like everybody has a different success story, okay? But for me, it's YouTube or it's podcasting. So pick the one you want to do. Now, again, what would I do? I go podcasting 100% all day, in and out, every day, up and down, all the way around. Let's do the thing. Because podcasting is quicker, it's easier, it's way more simple for people who are not really great at video, and it is about 10 times cheaper, probably more, 50 times cheaper than YouTubing. I do both, I know. Okay, and YouTube has not become income producing for us to date yet, and we've been at this for about 5 months now. So in the same amount of time that I started my podcast, within 6 months in, I was highly, highly profitable already. Remember, I said within 12 months, we had a 6-figure business from the podcast. So I would go podcasting. I would wait on YouTube. This is, again, my opinion and just my personal experience. If I'm trying to get there the fastest way that I can, I would go podcasting, okay? And that's the long form I would lock into. Not 2, 3, 4, 5 different things. 1, I would go podcasting, okay? Number 2 is that you've got to then zone in on who your person is and what their number 1 problem is. It's the power of 1. It's your 1 person with their 1 problem. So if you want to make money as fast as possible, what you cannot sell 13 things. It is just super confusing for your buyer. They're going to buy nothing from you. And also you don't seem like an expert in your craft. You seem like somebody who wants to make money. I'm sorry. I'm going to call it out like it is. Right? So for example, if you are a marriage coach and you say, hey, like I've got this course for wives and I have this course on restoration and then I have this biblical blueprint for husbands. And then also if you're over 60, I have a senior marriage guide. Like, okay, that's all cute and fine when you have been at this for 30 years and everybody knows your name and you are like this super big name person in the marriage space. But today, as we get started, like you've got to pick your pocket. Write that down in your notes. I'm going to pick my pocket, not be a pickpocket, but like pick your pocket. Okay. So for example, you're going to say, you know what? I am going to specifically talk to newlyweds, just the wife potentially, about, and then what is her number 1 problem? Maybe potentially it's something to do with communicating with your fiance. Now we have a brand that can actually grow into a 6-figure business in the next 12 to 24 months. You've got to zone in on your 1 person, 1 problem, okay? If you're struggling with that, I want you to go to my clarity workshop. It's at freeclarityworkshop.com. I'll help you get clear on your niche. Now, here's the big moneymaker. Are you ready? You're going to, now that you've locked in your long form, you know your number 1 person, your number 1 problem, you're actively podcasting to this person, creating content around their problem, you now are going to offer one-on-one virtual coaching. I'm just going to slow blink at you and see what's happening inside of your brain right now. Remember in the beginning, I said, don't poo-poo anything I say today. Don't minimize it. Don't say I already tried it. Don't say I don't want to do it. Like none of that is a viable option. It is a tell me more, Steph. Tell me more. Listen, lean in, my Linda, lean in. I began my podcast in October of 2018, and I started talking to mompreneurs who wanted to know how to do sales online. That's where I started because I came out of the network marketing space. That's where I began. And I really started talking to this mom who had littles at home, because at the time I had a 4-year-old and like a 2-year-old. And I was talking specifically to her. Every episode I had to do with like juggling kids and work and online business and marketing and Facebook groups, because that's what we were doing at that time. And I started to tell them, look, do you need my help to come up with a sales pitch, to come up with clarity on what your pitch is going to be, what your sales strategy will be? Let me help you with clarity on your specific business calling. And I started to offer these one-on-one coaching calls virtually, super casual. I did not have a sales page. I did not have some big fancy checkout software. I literally told them to email me and I invoiced them through PayPal. Talk about keeping it so stinking simple. I didn't even have like Calendly or whatever else the scheduling softwares were back then. I had nothing and I just started to lay it out. Guys, within a week of pitching on the podcast, I started getting booked for coaching calls. It's this simple. You've got to stop overcomplicating this process. If you think, listen, I'm going to get real raw right now. I really hope that I don't rub you the wrong way, but look, let me be real with you. If you think you're above coaching one-on-one, I really encourage you to think again. Coaching one-on-one, it's means to an end, right? You're basically getting paid to do market research. Why would you not sit with somebody and coach them for $50 an hour or $67 an hour or even $97 to get started? Help them through a problem, use it for market research, maybe even air it on your podcast if they give you permission, and really gain the knowledge you need to become an expert in this area, in this pocket that you want to really capitalize on. Then in the future, you can build your online course. In the future, you can build a group coaching program, okay? But we've got to get into the minds and brains and hearts of the people that we serve. How do we do that? By coaching them. And then guess what? You start to actually make money. Look, the bottom line is that people want to sit with you. They are going to pay the dollar bills to have an hour of your time. You want to get to 6 figures as fast as you can? This is it. This is how you do it, okay? So I started coaching, and then I started to, bonus tip, air the coaching sessions on the podcast. People heard me coaching, and then they wanted one of those calls. I started at $80 an hour. Within like 6 to 8 months, I was at $200 an hour. A year later, I'm at $400. And then like a couple, I don't remember, 6 months later, I was at $800 an hour for coaching. Guys, that is a stellar 6-figure business model that doesn't take a fat tech stack to do. It doesn't take a bunch of money and investment to do it. This is something you guys can do simply through your podcast, organically, easily, simply. And I believe that you can really make this work for you in today's climate of long form conversion, because that is truly where people are going. We are all sick of the short form in our face over and over and over. I'm not saying that short form isn't really powerful to drive traffic, because I do believe that to be true. We use YouTube Shorts. They work amazingly. We do little YouTube Shorts that we go and share on Pinterest. Those do amazing. All that is great. But when you're talking about actually making money, short form is not it. It's the long form. So we have to take all these little snippets of content and drive it back to the place that's going to get people to actually book with you and to get you those clients, which will be your podcast, okay? That is it for today, friends. If you really want to dive a bit deeper into these strategies, come and check out all the ways that you can work with me at stephaniegass.com/school. Also, over at stephaniegass.com, I have free checklists for you, free workshops, a lot of awesome resources. Our Facebook community is over there. Go and check it out right now. And last but not least, be sure that you are subscribed to this channel, because I put out new content every single week for you just like this. And come on over and check out the podcast, where I have over 750 episodes to help you grow a business that is going to be profitable, income producing, and glorifying to God. Thanks for being here. I'll see you soon.